So, yeah, you went out of town last week. It's my turn.
Where are you going?
Nashville. I'm going to be a Nash villain.
Nash Vegas?
Nash Vegas, indeed. But I'm actually going to be a Nash villain. Me and some buddies go every year, and we play the villain part at the MLS Atlanta United versus Nashville game. We go in and just piss off all the fucking hometown heroes and just play the villain. It's awesome.
How long have you been doing this?
I guess this would be year 4, but I missed last year, so I'm anxious to get back out there, you know.
Don't do that. Don't do that motion.
It's very like motivational, like kind of swing.
God, for those that are only listening on audio, they're
blessed.
They're blessed.
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, YouTube fans. I'm sorry about that.
But I do have one great story from a couple years ago I want to share.
Hit us.
The gentleman will remain unnamed.
Nah, name
the friend
him.
Kevin.
Yes.
We walk in. The game
that was amazing.
Yeah, I had to do it. You got me there. You got me there. I'm not gonna lie.
He
doesn't listen to the podcast.
You were quick to snitch on this man, bro. I don't know. I kind of trust you a little less after that. I'm not gonna lie. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So 2 minutes into the soccer game, 2 minutes, Atlanta scores. We're up 1-0. We're freaking the fuck out. We had just sat down. We were underdogs. We fucking are going crazy. This man stands up and throws his beer in the air, which is a thing that we do in Atlanta in the supporter section. It gets very rowdy there, but that's in Atlanta, and we know we can do that in the supporter section. People bring umbrellas. They throw their beers. Like, it's okay there because it's a thing. You don't do that
in enemy
another
territory,
city where
bro.
everyone else is an enemy. He fucking hit a kid.
No.
He hit a kid with his beer.
How old are we talking, this kid?
12, like, he's not injured, but like people were pissed. He got kicked out.
He got kicked out?
Immediately kicked out at the very beginning of the game.
How does that conversation go? Like, the
everyone's
out.
yelling at us and everyone's pissed, and they go get security and they tell him what happened, and security's like, you got to go. It was very simple.
That simple.
And then he ended up sneaking back in on the other side of the stadium. I don't know how he got back in. He told us to come over there and sit in the Nashville supporter section, where there's even more like we don't belong, you know, going on. And we're cheering for Atlanta, and everyone's pissed because we're like cheering super hard for Atlanta, and we're drinking. And we ended up getting kicked out of that section, not kicked out of the stadium again, but they removed us from that section. There was almost an altercation with police. We're going to go for a much more tame trip this year.
Come on, man. You have a lot riding on this. Like, you know, the podcast depends on you, bro.
Look, soccer's a big deal, man. You know, MLS. What's the biggest sport in the world? I think the MLS.
Yeah.
Everyone cares about the MLS, right?
I mean, it's definitely global for sure at this point.
I think it's like MLS Championship and then Super Bowl.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think that's how it goes.
Maybe March Madness after that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, for sure.
What's up with you?
So I've been listening to the Blog Era podcast. I vaguely told you about this, I feel like. Yep. And so the Blog Era podcast is by It's the Real.
It's the Real.
Which is your boy. Which is 2 white Jewish hip-hop sketch comedians,
the type of people.
Eric and Jeff Rosenthal. Yes, I do look at them like, wow, we can do it. We can do it.
We have hope.
Yeah, they're like my knight in shining armor, right?
Jesus.
Yeah, so they have this podcast called The Blog Era, excuse me. And it's under the Other Tone Pharrell's
umbrella
brand or whatever
kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep. And so it's under that brand, and basically it's documenting the Blog Era, right? And so it's being released almost like a Netflix show, man, like the way that they're dropping it, because they've already recorded all of it. It's only going to be, I think, 10 episodes maybe. So it's almost like a little mini podcast series. So it's not going to be a ongoing, continuing show, right?
But they're hyping it up like it's a fucking crazy,
dude.
Yeah.
Yes. So the first episode was about Joe Budden. And did you know much about Joe Budden? Like how he broke and just his whole story kind of coming up?
I know he was part of the group, you know, in Detroit with Royce and Eminem and
but that was so far after, bro.
Crazy Eyes, or what's his name? The guy with the
Crooked
eyes.
Crooked Eye. Exactly. Yeah. Crooked Eye, Royce.
That's kind of when I got hit too.
Joel Ortiz. Yeah. Joe Budden and stuff. Yeah. Slaughterhouse. But anyways, yeah. And so he was basically, they were trying to make him into this mainstream artist, and a bunch of shit happened where his song, and I can't remember, I'm blanking on the song, but his debut single off of his like highly anticipated album got released on the Fast and the Furious soundtrack, or the Too Fast, Too Furious soundtrack, I think, right? So everyone went and copped that CD for his song. Like they wanted to hear that song, but then his project flopped.
Ooh,
with the label.
Weird.
And so it was like all this conspiracy theory around Def Jam fucking him. I think I'm pretty sure it was Def Jam, the label. But anyway, so like there was all this controversy because everyone was just so much hype and anticipation around Joe Budden. Like this dude is just blowing up. Like he had, pop hits almost at the time, right? Like they were super mainstream, like radio bangers, right?
And no one bought that shit.
And it was just thing after thing, right? Where he, in pure Joe Budden fashion, which now hindsight makes perfect sense, he basically was like, buck the system. And so he was almost one of the early, products of the internet. Bro, apparently he was like super internet savvy back in the day and was in all these, chats and forums and just online communities. Essentially, he was one of the
4chaner.
He was just one of the first to like buy into all that shit.
Interesting.
Which I thought was super interesting, and I didn't know that about him really.
He strikes me as a smart guy. Obviously a troll, but I think he knows what he's doing at the same time.
Yeah, but apparently he was the type of guy that was almost like hippie like legs crossed in the studio, like a weird dude.
That does not come across anymore.
Exactly. And they were trying to push him as this like street artist and shit at first. And so that whole episode just kicking things off really reeled me in. Like they did a great job.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, and so then the last, couple of episodes have been about, actually moving into the specific blogs. They've focused on NotRight.com right now.
Not right?
Yeah, which SK was the guy that, founded that, and he was working this part-time IT job while he was blogging, and just hearing the stories of how the blogs became such a critical part of
you weren't popping if the blogs weren't talking about you.
Exactly.
In that era. What years would you say can this make the blog era?
I mean, I guess this was like 06 to like 2012 type of deal, you know what I mean? Like kind of like late first decade of the 2000s and then early second decade of the 2000s.
Maybe even a little longer than that.
Yeah.
Like 2015 even.
Yeah,
15.
man. And so it was just, I'm so excited for the rest of the episodes. Like,
damn. Well, you just got me hooked. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to go watch it after this.
For sure. But so on this episode, I really wanted to unpack a few of, I would say, the most common themes that have been brought up on our interviews, right? So for those... If you're listening to us talk, actually, you've definitely seen an interview.
By the way, we do interviews.
Yeah, I was going to say, y'all know we do interviews. If you're hearing...
Been doing it for a long time. A lot of dope people. Check them out.
Yeah.
Go to our page.
Yeah, so this isn't like me and Henry's like narrow experiences. Right?
But we have had a lot of moments where we're interviewing someone and they say something that another guest has said, and we have a moment where we kind of look at each other like, oh, yeah, there's that again. There's that thing again.
Is that annoying, you think, for the guest? Do they know what's happening there?
They probably have no idea what we're doing. They're
it's probably pretty creepy.
Well,
because I have to look over at you away from the guest and be like, right, Henry?
It's normal for me because I usually sit there.
Yeah.
I just got to go like this.
Yeah. But so I wanted to talk about and just, briefly unpack, I would say, the top 3 mistakes that independent artists are making in today's music industry.
And there's way more than that.
There's so many mistakes you guys are making.
Don't get us wrong. These are just the top 3.
Yeah, this is not according to me, although I have my own opinions, but this is according to, people that are doing it at an extremely high level, right?
Yep.
So the first one I want to talk about is artists that tease music too long.
Shout out to North Ave Jax. His interview will not be out yet by the time this is out, but this was definitely a topic during that.
This came back up with Jax, which is why I really
wasn't the first time.
Yeah, exactly, which is why I really wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
But you and I, when we've been working with other, artist friends of ours, we've gone back and forth about this, right? Of like how many TikToks should you make about a song before it's actually out for them to be able to go stream it, right?
And I think you can make a lot. I just don't think the time period, I think that the time in which you make them can't be too long. I'm all for it. Some people are real secretive with their music and don't want them to hear it, until like, I don't buy into a lot of that personally. I say, let people hear your shit. people copy shit all the time. If you're scared of that, like it's gonna happen, whatever. Just get over it. Like you want to share your good shit and get people buying into what it is you're doing.
Sure, but you want to hear a couple of
Counter arguments?
No, not just a couple data points on this, right?
Sure.
There's an artist, Pertinence, who I showed you.
Fire.
This white kid out
so
in Cali.
weird.
He's so weird.
I love him.
He's got like orange curly hair. He's very bizarre. Like his content though is top tier. This dude is absolutely crushing the content game.
Pattern interrupts.
Yes,
is a good one.
Every single video you see of his, you're immediately watching.
Let me keep watching.
Yeah, something weird is happening. The lyrics are fire, whatever. The music is really good too. So he talked about it. He has a podcast, I think, called Art Not Algorithms, which is kind of a fire name. So he unpacked, because once again, he's an artist who has, I mean, shit, maybe look him up real quick.
Yeah.
Actually, no, your phone.
My phone doesn't even work.
Yeah. I just want to, set the stage as far as how many monthly listeners this guy has, so you guys
I'll do
understand.
a dance to entertain the.
No, you're good.
Well, you do it.
201,000 monthly listeners. All right. His top songs, 2 million streams on Spotify, 600,000, 860, 200, 270, right? So this guy is, I would say, on the upper tier of like, an independent artist's trajectory, right? So he has a couple of use cases with this exact concept that he talked about on his podcast. So he did one song where he was promoting the hell out of it pre-release, just video after video after video for like, several weeks, let's just say, pre the song being out. The first day streams were about 3,500, I think, like 3,000 or 4,000 first day, right?
Sounds light.
So, for some people that's fucking incredible.
No, for sure.
But
for the hype.
Sure. Okay. Then he did another test where he did not mention a word about a song coming out until the day that it was out.
Ooh.
And then it was video after video after video after video, right?
Whoa.
Like several videos in a day type shit. 16,000 streams first day.
How different were the songs?
Exactly.
It's so hard to like.
There's more factors.
Right.
But I'm just saying his argument was, and I tend to agree with this strategy, is that, y'all, he said this, and I kind of agree, is that no one gives a flying fuck that you're releasing a song in a month. If you're an independent artist, just be real with yourself. No one gives a flying fuck is what he was saying. And we've heard that time and time again of like, until you've built a fan base of people who are anxiously waiting, your drops, right? Just release music, bro.
Yeah.
And then promote it so they have somewhere to fucking go and listen to it.
To me, a lot of it is also how you present it. So
Meaning what?
Meaning if you're saying, hey that's I'm dropping a song in a month. Here's what it sounds like.
That's terrible.
Pre-saved.
That's terrible
That's
right
awful. But if I go on IG
I hope
Live,
no one does that, though.
They do, though. And it's like, hey. But if I go on IG, if I'm an artist and I go on IG Live and I'm just kind of talking to the fans, interacting, and then I just maybe casually, go like, oh, yeah, here's a song I did the other day, and play it, and kind of and bop to it. And you have people like you creating like a curiosity around it. And if it's fire and people are like, oh, like, what is that song? What's that? And you're kind of being cool about it. I think if you perceive it as, if you tease it in the right way, you don't want to be salesy. No one wants to be told to go stream a song. But if you like hint at that, like, oh, I have this song, maybe I'm dropping it, maybe I'm not. Maybe don't even mention if you're dropping it. Who knows? But playing it here and there just to kind of gauge and give people a taste, I think that gets a much better reaction than the whole... It's the sales thing, man. You don't tell people to stream music. You just put shit in cool places and let people figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, but that's true regardless of if it's pre-release or post-release. You shouldn't be doing much of the go stream my song. Like, that doesn't fucking work. No one wants to be told to do that.
Yeah.
We don't want that as consumers.
But I think you can do that before to some degree.
Yeah. It just...
Because maybe you tease your song and everyone hates it, and then maybe you shouldn't drop it. Like maybe that's a good way to.
I mean, you bring up a good point. If you're doing it in the like A&R sense of doing it, meaning trying to figure out if this is something that you want to drop, I would kind of lean towards agreeing with you, right? But if you're doing it thinking that people are going to want to come back and like mark their calendars that you're dropping in a month,
It's not happening.
It ain't fucking happening, bro. Yeah. So, all right. So enough of that. Because
that's one point.
Because that's one of the most, common mistakes I feel like that we've heard over and over again from, people that are doing it.
Keep it pushing.
So somewhat on that note, I would say that people aren't dropping enough music, right? So we talked about this with Adam Ivy and the clip around the real reasons why Russ blew up.
It's doing great.
Has done stupid numbers.
More comments today. That clip's like a month old.
It's going crazy still on Instagram for sure.
Yeah.
So, that whole concept around how often should you drop? Should it be every month? Should it be every quarter? Should it be every week? Should it be every fucking day? What are your thoughts from everything that we've heard from people? What would you recommend, like an independent artist out there? How frequently should they be dropping?
So to me, I think that there is a level of like, if you want to give someone a chance to become a super fan, they need to have something to kind of binge out on. If they want to be a real fan, they need to have some material, some catalog for them to go dive into. It's like, if I see an episode of a TV show and I'm like, oh my God, this is the greatest show ever, and then I found out that was the pilot and there's no other episodes, I'm kind of let down. Maybe I'll forget about it. So I think the earlier an artist is in their career, the more important it is to start building that catalog and have something for fans to go to. And then, but if you do have a catalog out already, I don't know. I mean, I think it's less important, but I do still think it's important. I think about guys like a Ben Reilly who drops an album and promotes it for a year. He does a great job promoting it for a year and he's doing okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's kind of the counter argument to that.
Well, yeah. So you're kind of, foreshadowing my third most common mistake that artists make. But I kind of just want to weigh in on this. So Sean Barron, whose episode dropped literally today as of us recording this episode. By the time this is out, it'll probably have been a week or two old.
4 days or so. Oh, no, actually a week and a half.
Yeah, it's like a week and a half old. But he started a record label with Ty Dolla $ign.
Yep.
It's called Easy Money. He was a former A&R at Atlantic. He was a former A&R at Capitol Motown. This dude he was like the first to bring Drake to a record label.
They passed on
the label passed on him. He was the first to bring Wale. Like, this dude knows a thing or two, right? His recommendation was for sure if you're an artist early on in your career, because we asked him about the NBA YoungBoy versus Playboi Carti release strategy, which is essentially what we're talking about right now. Yeah. He was like, if you're early on in your career, drop, like stay on their ass.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah. I think, shout out to Ben Reilly, who we've had on the pod, who just got off tour with Token, a national like 30, plus dates tour.
He's also got an amazing team behind him. So they can milk the fuck out of one album for an entire year straight.
Yeah.
Successfully.
I would say once again,
most people don't have that.
I would not look at Ben Reilly dropping, a project a year as the recommendation.
Yeah.
As the blueprint you should probably, think is what works for everyone.
Unless you have Key Henderson behind you, in which case go for it.
Yeah. Unless you have the person that, first discovered 21 Savage and was there, was instrumental in their,
right,
career trajectory.
Drop music. Like, let people know who you are. Expand the catalog so that if someone does find your 76th song that you dropped, they have 75 more songs to go binge and become a deep, true fan of yours. That's super important to me.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, not to bring up this guy Pertinence, but I've actually been falling in love with not only his like music, he's dope, but his like strategies and his content creation. He has 80 singles out right now.
Boom.
So he's been somewhat adopting that Russ mentality where he's been doing like projects though, but then he's promoting each individual song as if it was just a single, because once again, no one fucking cares if it was a single or if it was on a project that you already dropped, because they don't fucking know until they go click on the song or search the song up.
You can add both to a playlist.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter. So for me, when everyone's like singles or albums, I'm more just about promote each song.
I'll say this. I say don't drop a fucking album unless it's a well thought out concept album.
Sure, that's what's one
Unless
approach.
it's a concept album, I don't think you need to put a bunch of singles on one big. It's like you're giving someone a playlist of singles. That's annoying. If you have an idea for a project, and it flows and it has skits and there's a story and there's a narrative from front to back, and you're painting a picture the whole time, and I can just press play at the beginning and get lost until the end, dope, do the album. Otherwise, just drop some songs. Like, if you know, drop some singles. Who cares? Maybe 4-song EP. You know, you could do a 3-song single. You can drop a single that's 3 songs. Get creative with that. There's just other ways of going about it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, for sure.
And you only get one debut album.
Yeah.
You only get one second album. Like, are you just going to throw some singles together and people are going to remember that as your second album?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
So the third topic I want to discuss, and the third, I guess, most common mistake that we've heard people talk about on the pod.
Shitty producers.
Yeah, and shitty engineers.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
So working with me.
No. So not promoting your music long enough has been proven to be just fucking detrimental to your, trajectory as an independent artist, right?
Now I see where Ben Riley's coming back around.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I think it was important what you said about him. He believes in his music and stands on his record so fucking much that this dude has gone nonstop getting creative as fuck. Don't get me wrong. He's not posting the same fucking cover art every week or some shit. This dude is getting super creative, and it's thing after thing after thing. New video for new song, new bits of content, whatever the case may be, new interview, new podcast, new this. But a year straight, bro, promoting the same project.
And it doesn't feel old to me watching the content because it is something new. It is something creative. The songs are well thought out. They are dope, and it works. And he milked the fuck out of that album for a year, and then dropped another one, and he's still milking that one, and it's working, I think.
Yeah.
Again.
Yep. And so we had Money Moo on here, who had a song that was, I think, 3 years old.
I was going to bring up Moo if you didn't.
Yeah, Hittin'. He stood on that song. He was working the clubs, working the DJs, like doing as much word of mouth, street promo as he could fucking possibly do. This dude was putting in the work. He ended up getting Moneybagg Yo and Fujiano on the remix.
Free Foo.
And say what you want about that being the reason that, the song ended up going extremely crazy.
No, I mean, it was going crazy before. They hopped on because it was going crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
it was years old.
That sent it into another stratosphere, of course.
Yes.
But the fact is that he could have I just want to say this. He could have just as easily gotten Moneybagg Yo and Fujiano on a new song.
Yes.
As features. They're charging the same bag.
Yep.
Whether it's on an old song or a new song.
And Foo was a label mate at the time. So yeah, that could have been,
No, for sure.
That's easy.
For sure. But my point is that he believed in that original record so much
Yep.
that he chose to get them on that song versus just, something new that he was making.
Yep.
And I think that's powerful. And the last example I'm going to bring up is Baby Tate.
Shout out. YBT.
Formerly known as Young Baby Tate.
She grew up.
Yes.
Right in front of our eyes.
Shout out YBT.
I'm so proud.
Yes. No, I am proud, honestly, man. Seeing what she did with her song, Hey Mickey.
Yeah.
It was 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
It had, I don't even know, less than 100,000 streams for sure. I would almost, it might even be less. I don't know. It was a very negligible amount of streams. When she revived that song by just crushing TikTok like she's been doing with all of her records, which is why she's just in another stratosphere at this point, right?
You like the word stratosphere.
I love that. I've said it like 4 times this episode. Feels right for this topic for some reason.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe next episode it'll be something different. But no, man, at the peak of Hey Mickey, they were doing 1 million streams a day.
Amazing. That's
7-year-old song, guys.
Yeah.
1 million streams a day.
Yeah.
Once again, say what you want. She could have been posting TikToks around just her newest song because it's the bright, shiny object. It's the new thing. Oh my God, I love my new shit. Fuck my old shit, which is what most artists say, I feel like. But no, man, 7-year-old song. This girl put in the work. It caught fire. People gravitated towards it, and it at its peak was doing 1 million streams a day. I actually want to see how many total streams it was.
There's such a sad sentiment that when an artist releases a song, they feel like, oh, well, there it is. Like, we released it. Like, it's over. The game's over. Literally, the game begins when you drop the song. that song is now forever on streaming. You can choose to promote it any day of your life until you die. It's not going anywhere unless you stop paying your distributor or however that works.
Oh my gosh. All right. So it was released in 2016. It is her most popular song right now on Spotify. She has 8 million monthly listeners. It has done 91 million streams.
Unfucking believable.
And as of just months ago.
Just because they decided to revive it and make it happen.
Exactly, man. So
cool.
Stand on your records. Believe in your music. If you thought it was a hit when you made it and when you released it, don't give up on it. Don't give up on it.
Last little bit. Let's give some homework to the artists out there. You guys have a homework assignment if you're an artist.
Oh, God.
Pick your favorite fucking shit, your favorite old song, and let's have just a nice brainstorming session around a dope, creative, marketing, whatever the fuck you want it to be, and see what happens. You'd be surprised.
Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time.